With the grace of the Supreme Soul, this journey of the contemplation of the Gita is reaching its last stage. The name of the 17th chapter of the Gita was Shraddha Traya Vibhag Yog, the yoga of the threefold division of faith. In this chapter, God proves something important, that no human being can go without Shraddha, faith. Shraddhayamayo ayam purusho, man is of the nature of his faith. Each and every person has Shraddha, faith in them, otherwise their lives would not run. From the peak of Shraddha, faith, the activity of attacking ignorance through the medium of Gnan, wisdom, is sannyas, renunciation, which the Lord will describe in this chapter. If you look at it according to length, then this is the longest chapter of the Gita and the biggest chapter of the Gita. It has 78 verses. Not only that, but Sri Krishna has, through so many things, through conclusions, that whatever message he has given to Arjun, and through Arjun the whole of the human race, all of it is given in this chapter. It is the last chapter of the Gita, and it should be said that before the end of one's life, if one can understand this last chapter of the Gita, then they will attain a lot of grace in their life. In the 17th chapter, God had described Shraddha, faith, as of the mode of sattva, goodness, and has shown how the mode of sattva, goodness, can increase more and more in one's life. Here in the 18th chapter, the Lord explains how one has to also leave the mode of sattva, goodness, and has to go even beyond the mode of sattva, goodness. The 18th chapter is called Moksha Sannyas Yoga, the yoga of liberation by renunciation. Moksha, liberation, involves even going beyond the mode of sattva, goodness. We saw the state of gunatit avastha, being beyond the three modes of nature, in the 14th chapter of the Gita. If a person is of the mode of tamas, dullness, then they have to move towards the mode of rajas, passion. And if someone is of the mode of rajas, passion, then they have to move towards the mode of sattva, goodness. And in the end, they also have to leave the mode of sattva, goodness, and reach the state of gunatit avastha, being beyond the three modes of nature. This is liberation, and the Lord describes this again in the 18th chapter. And the beauty of this chapter is that God has placed sannyas, renunciation, on a broad paradigm, and also moksha, liberation, on a very broad paradigm. This journey that began from Arjun's despondency has reached that stage where the aim is that Arjun attains moksha, liberation. And what is moksha, liberation? From a material perspective, we consider moksha, liberation, to be whatever state there is after death, or the state where we never have to come back again to the cycle of birth and death. It is that, and there's no denying this, but from the perspective of the Gita, moksha, liberation, is liberation from the attachment of delusion that Arjun was stuck in. From the perspective of the Gita, moksha, liberation, is liberation from doubts. You'll see that Arjun will tell God later in this verse that Nashto moksha smutir labda tvat prasadan maya achyuta sitosmi gatam sadeha karishye vachanam tava. Destroyed is my delusion, and recognition has been gained by me through your grace, O Achyuta, Krishna. I stand firm with my doubts dispelled. I shall act according to your word. This is moksha, liberation. This is the same Arjun who said to the Supreme Soul in the first chapter of the Gita that, Lord, I will not fight. He gave the reasons why he will not fight. The same Arjun will now tell the Supreme Soul that Karishye vachanam tava, I shall act according to your word. And Samjaya tells Dhritarashtra that Rajan samrasta samadam imam abutam keshav vajan no punyam ishyami cha mahur mahu. O king, as I recall again and again this dialogue, wondrous and holy, of Keshava, Shri Krishna and Arjun, I thrill with joy again and again. This is another level of moksha, liberation, in the Gita, where one gets the light and one gets bliss. One gets the bliss of moksha, liberation. Arjun's moksha, liberation, is complete surrender at the feet of the Supreme Soul, and Samjaya's moksha, liberation, is delight and bliss. When the verses come, then I'll explain them in detail. What is moksha, liberation? We all know that Shri Krishna is a revolutionary, and Shri Krishna is at the peak of this revolution in the Gita. First of all, in the Gita, Shri Krishna made revolutionary statements about yoga and about yagna. Yagna meant only offering oblations to the fire and was limited only to rituals. Instead of that, Shri Krishna gave such a great meaning of yagna. He said, Dhrava yagnastapo yagna yoga mata tata pare swadaya yagnasta cha yata ya samshitarvara. Some likewise offer as yagna their material possessions, or their austerities, or their spiritual exercises, while others of subdued minds and severe vows offer their learning and knowledge. Many types of yagna, which literally means sharing in English, were shown in the Gita. The Gita showed a new perspective to bhakti, devotion. What is bhakti, devotion? The God shows this. In the same way, the Gita gives sannyas, renunciation, a new meaning. Before the Sri Krishna of the Gita, sannyas, renunciation, meant going far away from life. The state that came after leaving the natural circumstances of life was called sannyas, renunciation. If an ordinary person living in his house left his house, then he was called a sannyasi, a person of renunciation. Sannyas, renunciation, was more of a list of don'ts rather than do's. And the standard of don'ts was a material person. A very odd circumstance arose that if a person did what a material person did not do, then this person would be called a sannyasi, a person of renunciation. These circumstances were there at the time in which Sri Krishna was speaking the Gita. The standards of a good person can never be wrong. If a person says that I am good, then one may ask him why. He replies, it's because my neighbor is wrong. Then one may ask him, why is your neighbor wrong? He replies, it's because my neighbor drank alcohol and I do not drink alcohol. My neighbor wakes up late and I do not wake up late. My neighbor drinks tea and I do not drink tea. But by not doing what your neighbor does that make you a right person? No. To be a good person is an independent perspective, and an independent development is necessary for this. In the same way that a person becomes a sannyasi, a person of renunciation, by not doing what a material person does, this is a very negative definition. In the 6th chapter of the Gita, God said clearly in the first verse who a sannyasi, a person of renunciation, is. Na niragur na cha akriya. Not one who does not light the sacred fire and performs no rites. One who stopped lighting the sacred fire and stopped performing actions does not become a sannyasi, a person of renunciation. The Gita has given us a very nice word of nitya sannyasi, an eternal person of renunciation. What is such a nitya sannyasi, an eternal person of relation? Arjun asks the Supreme Soul a question in this first verse. Let's go to the first verse. Arjun